All right. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining the happy anthology of enlightenment. It's great. So I'm really happy that you're here because it's great to share and to celebrate this together. So yeah, that's lovely. Today our special guest is Nisargadatta Maharaj, and he's one of the Eastern Masters that that had a lot of Western followers too, and still have. And so today we merge a little bit in his world, in his way of teaching. Well, what is left of his world, because once your mind becomes enlightened, you could say, what is there left of a personality or something that wants something? So he's pretty clear in that. Now today, Nisargadatta, we go through we almost have like a way of doing this already, and not that I have to stick to it, but it actually works. So after the meditation we go and check him out using Wikipedia. Then there's some I Am That. That's one of his books. It's like I Am That. That was actually the first book translated from him, from Urdu into English. And that happened in 1974. He became quite old, if you want to put him in a timeline. I wouldn't know why, but you can. I think 81 or something. That's quite old, almost like the old man, like the master teacher. He became like 84. So we're looking at it from the Wikipedia perspective. Then we also look at it from the book I Am That, and use some of his expressions to let ourselves be lyrically inspired. And yeah, so great. We can even listen to a little bit of his talk, of his. It's very interesting to watch and talk of him too. If you have a chance, check it out, because it is like he really enjoyed silence. He kept it very simple altogether. But he said at a certain point, he said, "Well, my living room that was so dedicated to silence became more like an busy, big station where trains, strange station. It looked more like that. So many people coming in and out. He had no idea." And one of the things I read was that he had meetings 5 times a day. Now you can imagine that that would be quite active. And he would answer questions, and he would say inquiry was one of his ways of teaching. And so we're using that a little bit today. And yeah, but first, like I said, we're going to go for the meditation. And the meditation is just totally beautiful. In fact, it is so true, and you know it too. And it is so true because it starts, in fact, with an idea of silence, and it ends with an idea of silence. And he, in fact, asks you the question, what happened in between that has any, truth? Well, nothing. Like everything is rendering into silence. And whether you talk your whole life, whether you make so much noise, be the greatest singer or who knows what, it still will end up in silence. And what happened? Nothing happened. Like this came back to him in his teaching. Beautiful, just absolutely lovely to read that. So this is also what we practice in the meditation. Still using words, still using some music in the background, but also, enjoying the silence in between. So let's get started with that, just to really, in fact, dive in the silence that he is teaching, of that he's demonstrating, you could say. Like, why would you add anything to this silence? What would be your motive to do that? Well, the universe is your personal experience. How can it be affected? You might have been delivering a lecture for 2 hours. Where is it gone when it is over? It has merged into silence in which the beginning, middle and end of the lecture are all together. Time has come to a stop. It was, but is no more. The silence after a life of talking and the silence after a life of silence is the same silence. Immortality is freedom from the feeling I am, yet it is not extinction. On the contrary, it is a state infinitely more real, aware and happy than you can possibly think of. Only self-consciousness is no more.
L'univers est votre expérience personnelle. Comment pourrait-il en être affecté? Vous pouvez donner pendant 2 heures une conférence. Quand elle est terminée, où s'en est-elle allée? Elle s'est fondue dans le silence dans lequel le début, le milieu et la fin de la conférence se sont mêlés. Le temps est parvenu à un arrêt. Il était, mais il n'est plus. Le silence après une vie de bavardage et le silence après une vie de silence sont les mêmes. L'immortalité et la libération de la sensation « je suis ». Cependant, ce n'est pas l'extinction. Au contraire, c'est un état infiniment plus réel, plus conscient, plus heureux, que vous ne pouvez le concevoir. Seulement, il n'y a plus de conscience de soi.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in the silence. So you see that he, in fact, teaches the fruits you can experience or can harvest when you choose for silence. And that's really, quite a part of his teaching, you could say, in when you read the book too, like, that comes back all the time. It's like, what happens when you perceive, you could say. What happens when you perceive? That's basically what he shows you. It's like, what happens when you perceive something? What happens if you trust your senses? You're caught by it. You're caught by it. And it immediately, prevents you from having different experiences. Because you're already in the illusion, in the Maya. Like in the illusion, you're already caught in it. Now what do you expect the experiences to be? Like, well, they certainly have nothing to do with all the fruits that can come from the silence, from, say, the expansion of your consciousness. So that is what he demonstrates a lot in his teaching. So the other part that comes back to is this, is that in fact he says, I can only show you what you are not. This is your whole discovery. This is your whole discovery in the so-called spiritual path, is discovering what you are not. You're not your perception. You're not the words that you are thinking. You're not the feelings, and all of this is not what you are. It is the confusion of what you think you are. So it, in fact, it has no contribution to your self-realization. Now, see, these are fundamental parts of his teaching that come back all the time. And you see this back reflected back in the questions that are asked. And in fact, it is an interesting dynamic between the guru and the devotee we have here too. Like, it is a form of Hinduism, of Advaita Vedanta. It is interesting to see the devotee asks a question, and it doesn't matter what question that is. It's something that he has to know, has to ask. But in fact, see, it's like the asking of that question. Why is a devotee asking a question? In fact, to confirm his self-identity, not to get an answer. Probably not to get an answer. Like, it could be, but then that would not be the way. So it's more like you discover what you are not, and that, say, gives you a sense of silence, that where something can happen, sure. And of course, the light of the master is in that sense, say, pulling you, that you want to sit in front of him and ask him that question. So I can imagine that. It's like, yeah, that's, you do that, but you also discover, like, you don't get the answer that you want. So there's something else happening, in other words. And that's a very interesting dynamic. It is like a firefly flying to the sun, in fact, and letting himself be burned up by the heat. It's really like that. It's like, in the end, he discovers, I'm all that light myself, and nothing happened. So one of the expressions that you saw in the meditation is then the whole idea of self-consciousness disappears. And to get that well, so to speak, to receive that well, you could say, like, there's no self-concern, or there's nothing looking at itself any longer. There's nothing having a conversation. There's nothing in observation of itself anymore when that occurs. And that makes the whole experience so different, because look at what is happening now for you. Like, you are looking at yourself. You have certain ideas about yourself, and you're considering other ideas, sure, but you're still, like, looking at yourself and how you are doing, what you're going to do, what you haven't done, or all of this, you know. And you cannot imagine what the shift would be to enter into the flow of, say, non-self-concern or non-self-observation. Suddenly you shift into the direct expression of yourself. There's nothing that can wonder what it is. There's nothing that's observing itself. So it's like in the full flow and the full certainty also of that expression, and that's, you can't explain it except for the words that I've used, but it's really like an experience. So that comes back in the questions too. So it's like you see in the questions, you always see the devotee, in fact, being in a cloud of, I have no idea what you're talking about. How do I get to it? Where is it? Where can I find it? And it's like, well, it's nowhere to be found. I'm sorry. Now, what are you going to do? You know, it's like, no, that way you think you can find it, it will never be. Now, what are you going to do with yourself? So that, you see, that's in all kinds of, say, inquiry situations. I remember some of Papaji too. It's like you see these devotees asking him questions, and he's bringing them right to the moment. In fact, if you would allow yourself to go into that present moment, you would have an experience of it. No, in that sense, no, you're actually defending by posing questions, by waiting for an answer, trying to understand it, engaging the mind to do all this, and nothing happens. Up to the point that something happens, of course. So it's like the denial becomes or total or disappears completely. Either way, you come to an experience. So, but yeah, it takes a moment for that thing to be burned up. If it still has an idea, or it still wants to defend its own feelings, thoughts, and ideas, well, you're still busy doing that. And your mind is caught in it. That's the thing. It's like your mind is caught in it. There's no chance you can get it unless you give that up. Like, you don't have to do that. What is the difference? If you use the idea of silence, what is the difference with having a lecture of 2 hours or being completely quiet? Well, if you choose to be completely quiet, it is something can occur with you that otherwise would not have happened consciously. And that makes all the difference, because that is real. What is happening in silence is real. So, really lovely. Nisargadatta, we're going to take a look at his credentials. I have to laugh about that, because it's interesting how he came to his enlightenment, if you want, how he came to his guru first. And so we're going to dive into that using Wikipedia, just to allow everyone to have the same source of information, in fact, which is kind of nice. Now here you see, to use Nisargadatta Maharaj as the image of him, but it's like you see here too in what we're going to read, not directly from Wikipedia, but what follows after from I Am That, is that you can, so to speak, turn on your revelatory listening too. So then it starts to make sense. So tune in on the frequency that you can receive in this instant, where perfect communication takes place. And you're a whole part of that. So here we go, and this is the early life. Nisargadatta was born on 17th of April 1897, so that is an Aries. Like, he was an Aries, and he taught, he taught like an Aries too. So it's like he expressed himself with a lot of energy. Nisargadatta was born on the 17th of 1897, so he's still in the same range of, they all could have met the last 4 masters, and he's also one of them. 17th of April 1897 to Shri Frampant Kambli and Parvati Bai in Bombay. He was born in Bombay. The day was also Hanuman Jayanti. I'm not so familiar with the names. You can discover that. The birthday of Hanuman. Hence, the boy was named Maruti after him. Okay. Maruti Sri Frampant Kambli, and I probably don't announce this in the right way, was brought up in Kandal Gayon, a small village in the Sindhu Durga district of Mahasaratra, with his 2 brothers, 4 sisters, and deep religious parents. In 1915, after his father died, he moved to Bombay to support his family back home, following his elder brother. Initially, he worked as a junior clerk at an office, but quickly he opened a small goods store, mainly selling beedies, leaf rolled cigarettes, and soon owned a string of 8 retail shops. In 1924 he married Sumatibai, and they had 3 daughters and a son. So that's in 24. So he's about 27 years old at that point when he married. Sadhana, his practice. In 1933, he was then 36 years old. He was introduced to his guru, and with Siddharameshwar Maharaj, his guru told him, "You are not what you take yourself to be." And Siddha initiated him into the pradaya, giving him meditation instruction and a mantra, which he immediately began to recite. Siddha gave Nisargadatta instruction for self-inquiry, which he followed verbatim. As he himself recounted later, "My guru ordered me to attend to the sense I am and to give attention to nothing else. I just obeyed. I did not follow any particular course of breathing or meditation or study of scriptures. Whatever happened, I would turn away my attention from it and remain with the sense I am. It may look too simple, even crude. My only reason for doing it was that my guru told me so, yet it worked." Following his guru's instructions to concentrate on the feeling I am, he used all his spare time looking at himself in silence and remained in that state for the coming years, practicing meditation and singing devotional bhajans. So that was his practice, in fact. So the next part is, of course, there's much more information, like there's quite a lot of information about his spiritual process, but to me right now that is not so interesting, because we just want to have him introduced to us. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, that it's not telling us everything, but it tells us about the basic practice that he had, sadhana, and which is like coming back to the I am, to the I am meditation continuously. It's like whatever the occurrence, he would go back to that. So in other words, he was training his mind to come back to I am continuously, repeatedly, no matter what the situation was. And he had a busy life, like 4 kids. He was having his shops. He did all kinds of things, like 8 shops in Bombay, and selling beedies and smoking them too, I think. So he had that as a practice. He came back to the I am and be still, singing bhajans, singing chants, you could say, singing chants. But always this I am came back to him. So great practice. It's like absolutely lovely mind training that he did. And it worked, he said. It worked perfectly, no problem. Now that's beautiful to see, but now we're actually entering into one of his talks of the I am that, where the I am is in too. It's like, so there's devotees asking questions. Well, let's check one out. Here is a very interesting question. Can I think I am God? Well, we say that sometimes, like I am God, I am peace, I am wholeness, I'm this, I'm that. Can I think I am God? And then Maharaj answers, don't identify yourself with an idea. If you mean by God the unknown, then merely say, I do not know what I am. If you know God as you know yourself, you need not say it. Best is the simple feeling I am. Dwell on it patiently. Here patience is wisdom. Don't think of failure. There can be no failure in this undertaking. See, this is incredible what he's sharing here. It's like if you mean by God, I am God, the unknown, then merely say, I do not know what I am. If you know God as you know yourself, you need not say anything, right? Best is the simple feeling, I am. Dwell on it patiently. Here patience is wisdom. Don't think of it as failure. There can be no failure in this undertaking. Now see, there's a lovely comforting answer coming to you. Like, can I say I am God? Like, would that work? Like, well, you can also say, like, I don't know who I am, and that would say open something up in your consciousness, to let something occur, because you don't know who you are. Now you're receiving it, and your consciousness is open to receive it. And if you already know who you are, you don't even have to ask that question, or you don't have to call yourself anything. So stay with the practice of I am, and patience is wisdom. So it's like, oh yeah, so patience is wisdom. You'll see that later on too. It's like silence is wisdom. So it comes back. It's like, that's wisdom. Meditation, like coming to the stillness, being patient with what is occurring, that is wisdom. You cannot fail. Like literally, it would be impossible for you to fail if you choose for I am in the silence, for experiencing I am in the silence, for even attempting to experience it. There can be no failure. You can be rest assured. And that is so lovely. Like, that is so comforting here in the answer. So there's, with all the masters as we see it, like with all the masters, you come to this incredible, I called it the other day, the sweet spot. It's like you come into a place where your heart can open, everything can open up with, it is that simple. I missed that completely. Well, here I am. Now I can trust this. Here's an oasis in the desert of my mind. Here's an oasis where I can deeply dive into the peace that is actually given if I be patient with it, if I allow myself to have a different experience of myself. So in fact, he offered that here. So he continues here with the mind training, you could say. Watch your thoughts as you watch the street traffic. People come and go. You register without response. It may not be easy in the beginning, so you register without response. You don't respond to what you see. You just register it, just like the clouds in the sky or the street traffic. It may not be easy in the beginning, but with some practice you will find that your mind can function on many levels at the same time, and you can be aware of all of them. It is only when you have a vested interest in any particular level that your attention gets caught in it and you black out on other levels. I love that expression. Even then, the work on the blacked out levels goes on outside the field of consciousness. Do not struggle with your memories and thoughts. Try only to include in your field of attention the other, more important questions like, who am I? What did I happen? How did I happen to be born? Whence this universe surround me? Whence this universe around me? What is real and what is momentary? So do not struggle with your memories and thoughts, but try to only to include in your field of attention the other more important questions. Like, in fact, who am I? Why am I here? What the hell is going on here? What is real and what is temporary? All of this. Now here I want to repeat one sentence here. It is only when you have vested interest in any particular level that your attention gets caught in it and you black out on other levels. I love that expression. because it is very useful. You see this, like your attention get caught. I have a problem, boom. I'm like literally, you just got rid of your solution. You just missed the solution to your problem by actually describing or by actually accepting the problem as a problem. You're caught in it. You invested in it. You blacked out on other parts where the help could come from. See, this is a very direct way of expressing it, but that's why I love it. And that's why you see that happen. Like the problem cannot be solved on the same level as where you are perceiving it. We know this from Joel, from Course in Miracles and all this. It's like, why is that? Well, that's because of this. Specifically because of this phenomena, you could say. You perceive a problem. When you perceive a problem, you in fact close every door to solve it, because you have a problem. And so that's different. You can get out of it, of course, but you will have to let go of the idea that the problem is as you see it. No memory will persist. If you lose interest in it, it is the emotional link that perpetuates the bondage. You are always seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, always after happiness and peace. Don't you see that it is your very search for happiness that makes you feel miserable? Try the other way. Indifferent to pain and pleasure, neither asking nor refusing, give all your attention to the level on which I am is timelessly present. Soon you will realize that peace and happiness are in your very nature, and it is only seeking them through some particular channels that disturbs. Avoid the disturbance, that is all. So this is also a great instruction. Like no memory will persist if you lose interest in it. It is the emotional link that perpetuates the bondage. Yeah. So it's like now you in fact transcend this level by giving all your attention to the I am that is timelessly present. Memories will not, no memory will persist. Like all memories are fading. If you lose interest in it, the link to it will just disappear. And you notice too, it's like, yeah, we say time heals all wounds. Well, it's not really time doing that. It's more like you lose interest in the investment that you have made. And so now you are focusing your attention totally on the I am. Like as a step into your spiritual awakening, you focus your attention to the I am and see that there is a relief that will take you or offer you what you were initially looking for. The happiness, the joy, the peace, all that. But if you stay with your memories and keep perpetuating it into the future, keep reliving them, you could say, you stay in pain and pleasure modality. Like you temporarily might have some relief, then there's pain, then there's pleasure, then there's pain. Like it's all the same stuff, in fact. It's all temporary movements that you use temporarily, thinking that it offers you something. Now here is then, say, the fundamental teaching here is then nothing happens. Like nothing happens. No, nothing has happened, except it distracted you from your deep sense of I am, like from your true nature. That would provide everything for you. I love the way that he says that. So that's helpful. It's great instruction, but also lovely to apply it immediately for yourself. It's like, what am I looking for, really? What is actually going on? What is it really that I want? Am I still pursuing and maintaining memories, trying to keep them as some kind of, reliquies of an existence? Or am I looking for the truth about myself, say, going for the happiness and love that I am? Like, that is the step we take in this spiritual path. Like, that's the step that you take by discovering what isn't love, what isn't eternity, or what isn't for always. You lose interest in that. It is, another way of saying is like, it's too much work. This is what happens to me. It's like, that's too much work. I could step into that, but it's too much work. It's too much work to maintain it, to go through it, to see it slowly, say, unrolling, in fact. Like, slow, it's really slow time. The occurrences in the human life are so slow. You get an idea, you stay with it for a moment. It might become realized or not, and then it's already over. And it's like, in the moment that it actually occurs, this would be like to have a desire for the future. Like, literally, you can only desire a disappointment, because in fact that's the only thing that will be there for you. So you have an idea of a future happening where you invest in and you want to make the best of it. Well, you might as well die in it right now, because it will not be what you think it will be when you project it into the future. So this is great. This is great because everyone gets in touch with that. It is not new. It is a daily possibility for you. So to be free of that and to stay with the practice of, I'm focusing on the I am. I'm not letting myself be tempted to project things into the future. No, I die in it right now. I let everything go. I stay with the I am. I literally allow myself to be lifted out of this place of limitation and of, in fact, of suffering. All right, so let's see what Nisargadatta has for us. To seek, there is no need. You would not seek what you already have. You yourself are God, the supreme reality. To begin with, trust me, trust the teacher. It enables you to make the first step, and then your trust is justified by your own experience. In every walk of life, initial trust is essential. Without it, little can be done. Every undertaking is an act of faith. Even your daily bread you eat on trust. By remembering what I told you, you will achieve everything. I'm telling you again, you are the all-pervading, all-transcending reality. Behave accordingly. Think, feel, and act in harmony with the whole, and the actual experience of what I say will dawn upon you in no time. No effort is needed. Have faith and act on it. Please see that I want nothing from you. It is in your own interest that I speak, because above all, you love yourself. You want yourself secure and happy. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't deny it. It is natural and good to love oneself. Only you should know what exactly do you love. It is not the body that you love. It is life. Perceiving, feeling, thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating. It is that life you love, which is you, which is all. Realize it in its totality, beyond all divisions and limitations, and all your desires will merge in it. For the greater contains the smaller. Therefore find yourself, for in finding that, you find all. Wow, this is really beautiful too. So I repeat this once more. It's great instructions. Like, please see that I want nothing from you. It is in your own interest that I speak, because above all, you love yourself. You want yourself secure and happy. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't deny it. It is natural and good to love oneself. Only you should know what exactly do you love. It is not the body that you love. It is life. Perceiving, feeling, thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating. It is that life you love, which is you, which is all. Realize it in its totality, beyond all division and limitations, and all your desires will merge in it, for the greater contains the smaller. Therefore, find yourself, for in finding that, you find all. Everybody is glad to be, but few know the fullness of it. You come to know by dwelling in your mind on I am, I know, I love, with the will of reaching the deepest meaning of these words. So this is just a simple, like a part of the I am that talk. And so really beautiful instruction here. It's like you're going to be yourself no matter what. You might as well love yourself. You might as well love yourself, and you do that. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't even be listening to this. You love yourself, and you might not be sure what that exactly means. But here it is more like everything that you think, that you perceive, and all this, you're going to embrace that. You're going to let that be you in its totality. And by you accepting that about yourself, something happens. It's like then there's no conflict in you anymore. There's no war against yourself, as the Course in Miracles would say. It's like there's, as Jesus would say in the Course in Miracles, I should say. It's like there's that, there's that. Now you see that he uses a couple of expressions. He says, well, never mind. It's like, I don't want anything from you. Make sure that you know that. I don't want anything from you. No, the only thing that I'm doing here is in fact inviting you to trust me, to put your faith in me. In fact, every step where something new can happen will be an act of faith. You will have to trust what's going on. There is another way to come to a different experience of yourself, and that is given. I'll lead you. I will lead you to that. Like this is in fact what the master says to the devotee, or the guru to the devotee. Like, I am that. Trust me in that. I know what I'm talking about. I can bring you there by my own realization that I am there. It's like nothing in fact do I want from you. No, you will end up there. I can assure you that. See, and that is not a doing in that sense. It is discovering what it isn't. Discovering for yourself, this isn't it, that isn't it. I'm letting go of that. Oh no, that's not me either. That is also not. Yeah, you go like this. We practice this in fact also. So, but it's good to realize like every expansion of mind is an act of faith. In fact, you just blindly follow. You actually take that step, not sure where you're going to come to, but you do it anyway. Now this trust is what he's talking about, and what is necessary for any kind of transformation or development. You will have to jump the cliff, so to speak. You will have to step into the unknown in order to come to know the unknown. The unknown that can be known, that cannot be known. So this is great. So this is, say, an introduction to the I Am That book of Nisargadatta. And he had some more books, and he had a lot of tapes, of recordings, in fact. We're not going to do anything with that right now, but you can watch them online. There are many available, so that's really lovely too. Now, his expressions also inspired me to a poem, even though the poem is more, I used his words more than anything else because it is already in such simplicity that the essence of it is revealed, you could say. So I focused more on the music that supports it and the imagery that I added to it. So I just wanted to say that, and I want to share that with you too. Sometimes I feel everything. I call that love. Sometimes I feel nothing. I call that wisdom. Between love and wisdom, my life continuously flows. You can only be described in what you are not. Body, feelings, thoughts, time, space, this or that. Nothing concrete or abstract which you perceive can be you. The very act of perceiving shows that you are not what you perceive. Sometimes I feel everything. I call that love. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for taking part in this moment together. It's really lovely to stand still with a beautiful master. I can say that. It's so beautiful to see what he shares and the way that he does it. My own feeling is that my spiritual development is not in my hands. Making one's own plans and carrying them out leads nowhere. I just run in circles around myself. When God considers the fruit to be ripe, he will pluck it and eat it. Whichever fruit seems green to him will remain on the world's tree for another day. M. You think God knows you. Even the world he does not know. Q. Yours is a different God. Mine is different. Mine is merciful. He suffers along with us. M. You pray to save one, while thousands die. If all stop dying, there will be no space on earth. Q. I'm not afraid of death. My concern is with sorrow and suffering. My God is a simple God and rather helpless. He has no power to compel us to be wise. He can only stand and wait. M. If you and your God are both helpless, does it not imply that the world is accidental? And if it is, the only thing you can do is to go beyond it. This is the second part. It's from, say, section 51 of From I Am That, with the title, Be Indifferent to Pain and Pleasure. Questioner. I am a Frenchman by birth and domicile, and since about 10 years I have been practicing yoga. Maharaj, after 10 years of work, are you anywhere near your goal? Questioner, Q. A little nearer, maybe. It's hard work, you know. Maharaj, M. The self is near, and the way to it is easy. All you need doing is doing nothing. Q. Yet I found my sadhana very difficult. M. Your sadhana is to be. The doing happens, just be watchful. Where's the difficulty in remembering that you are? You are all the time. Q. The sense of being is there all the time, no doubt, but the field of attention is often overrun by all sorts of mental events, emotions, images, ideas. The pure sense of being is usually crowded out. M. What is your procedure for clearing the mind of the unnecessary? What are your means, your tools for the purification of the mind? Q. Basically, man is afraid. He's afraid of himself most. I feel I'm like a man who is carrying a bomb that is going to explode. He cannot defuse it. He cannot throw it away. He is terribly frightened and is searching frantically for a solution which he cannot find. To me, liberation is getting rid of this bomb. I do not know much about the bomb. I only know that it comes from early childhood. I feel like the frightened child protesting passionately against not being loved. The child is craving for love, and because he does not get it, he is angry and afraid. Sometimes I feel like killing somebody or myself. This desire is so strong that I am constantly afraid, and I do not know how to get free from fear. You see, there is a difference between a Hindu mind and a European mind. The Hindu mind is comparatively simple. The European is much more complex being. The Hindu is basically sattvic. He does not understand the European restlessness, his tireless pursuit of what he thinks needs to be done, his greater general knowledge. Maharaj, his reasoning capacity is so great that he will reason himself out of all reason. His self-assertiveness is due to his reliance on logic. But thinking, Q, but thinking, reasoning is the mind's normal state. The mind cannot just stop working. M. It may be the habitual state, but it need not be the normal state. A normal state cannot be painful, while a habit often leads to chronic pain. Q. If it is not natural or normal state of mind, then how to stop it? There must be a way to quieten the mind. How often I tell myself, enough, please stop, enough. This endless chatter of sentences repeated round and round. But my mind would not stop. I feel that one can stop it for a while, but not for long. Even the so-called spiritual people use tricks to keep the mind quiet. They repeat formulas, they sing, breathe, pray forcibly or gently, shake, rotate, centrate, meditate, chase trances, cultivate virtues, working all the time in order to cease working, cease changing, cease moving. Were it not so tragic, it would be ridiculous. Maharaj, the mind exists in two states, as water and as honey. The water vibrates at the least disturbance, while the honey, however disturbed, returns quickly to immobility. Q. By its very nature, the mind is restless. It can perhaps be made quiet, but it is not quiet by itself. M. You may have a chronic fever and shiver all the time. It is desires and fears that make the mind restless. Free from all negative emotions, it is quiet. Q. You cannot protect a child from negative emotions. As soon as it is born, it learns pain and fear. Hunger is a cruel master and teaches dependence and hate. The child loves the mother because she feeds it and hates her because she is late with food. Our unconscious mind is full of conflicts which overflow into the conscious. We live on a volcano. We're always in danger. I agree that the company of people whose mind is peaceful has a very soothing effect, but as soon as I'm away from them, the old trouble starts. This is why I come periodically to India to seek the company of my guru. M. You think you are coming and going, passing through various states and moods. I see things as they are, momentary events presenting themselves to me in rapid succession, deriving their being from me, yet definitely neither me nor mine. Among phenomena I am not one, nor subject to any. I am independent so simply and totally that your mind, accustomed to opposition and denial, cannot grasp it. I mean literally what I say. I do not need, oppose, or deny, because it is clear to me that I cannot be the opposite or denial of anything. I am just beyond, in a different dimension altogether. Do not look for me in identification with or opposition to something. I am where desire and fear are not. Well, that's so great. So thank you so much for joining in this adventure. We're continuing next week with the Lady Masters, as I call them, like with Lillian D. Waters, with Mary Baker Eddy, and with the Mother Aurobindo. So see you there. Maybe I'll see you on Sunday with the World is New, and can't wait to continue there too. So thank you. See you soon. Thank you for everything, and arrivederci.